Welcome back, Truth Seeker. More tragedies in the headlines. This one connected to another sports championship. Of course, the story broke just before the Super Bowl that Patrick Mahomes' grandfather was on his deathbed, and we covered that. Now here we are, February 14, 2025, Valentine's Day. A year to the day of the Chiefs' parade shooting. If you recall, after they won Super Bowl 58, they had the mass shooting at their parade on February 14th, 214. A reminder that the Kansas City Chiefs began as the Dallas Texans in the 214 area code. Of course, JFK died in the 214 area code at Parkland Hospital, and that's why the Parkland shooting also happened on 214. Very ritualistic. That was the home of the Eagles, the Stoneman Douglas Eagles, who had the exact same logo as the Philadelphia Eagles, who just won the Super Bowl right before that shooting in Minnesota, where Marjorie Stoneman Douglas was from, in the 612 area code. And you might recall that Stoneman Douglas High School shooting was 612 days after the Pulse nightclub shooting, also in Florida, on June 12th, 612. But anyway, coming back to this, just reminding you guys, it's all rituals, it's all numbers. Mahomes just lost to the Philadelphia Eagles. Notice today's 150 days after his birthday, and he takes another loss. This time his grandfather in Gematria, Philadelphia Eagles equals 150. Today's lesser date numerology is 41. That's the big Super Bowl number, Super Bowl 41. Right after the Super Bowl loss, he loses his grandfather on the 41 date numerology. Keep in mind, Dallas equals 41 as well. The city established in 1841, where the Kansas City Chiefs are originally from. His mother posted from Matthew 25:23. I know he's in a better place. I love you, Daddy. Well done, good and faithful servant. Again, Matthew 25:23. You know, Matthew 25, it is 2025. Matthew 25 is known as the parable of the 10 virgins. Of course, Patrick Mahomes was the 10th pick of the draft. Something I find interesting going back and reading that has to do with lamps and darkness. You might recall the last Super Bowl in New Orleans was the one with a 34-minute blackout on the 34th day of the year, won by the Ravens with 34 points. Of course, Maryland has that Gematria 34, and they won both their Super Bowls with 34 points. But this year, the first Super Bowl in New Orleans since that one, the Chiefs were down 34-0. Yeah, this verse, another thing that's in here, Matthew 25:33. In this verse, he will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. It just reminds, Super Bowl 55 is where Mahomes lost to Brady while Brady was 43 years old. In Gematria, GOAT equals 43. Remember, greatest of all time equals 188. Brady won 188 days after his 43rd birthday. But Super Bowl 59 was the 55th Super Bowl of the modern era, and the Chiefs fell to 4-3, a lot like 43. Again, GOAT equals 43, as does football. I don't think that's an accident either. So, again, it's the Jesuits who run the show. They do use the Bible like a playbook, like it's the plays for a football coach. And, yeah, the other thing is the full date numerology today does break down to 25, which would break down to 7. But yeah, R.I.P. to Randy, Patrick Mahomes' grandfather. It's a reminder that when he passed Len Dawson's passing record, his fiance's father dropped dead that day. They're now married with children. Of course, they took out Len Dawson by the numbers on Kobe Bryant Day, the year that it became Kobe Bryant's hometown versus the Chiefs for the first time in Super Bowl 57. Kansas City Chiefs equals 172. Len Dawson died 172 days before Super Bowl 57. This year, the Chiefs came in 17-2 and fell to 17-3, like how plane crash equals 173. Of course, you had the plane crash into the chopper in D.C. and then into Philadelphia on Roosevelt, and then in Sao Paulo, where the Eagles played their first game this year. Again, from that game in Sao Paulo to the crash was exactly 22 weeks, where Eagles and crash equal 22. Chiefs picked up their 22nd postseason loss all time. scoring 22 points. It was the third time in 4 games in the postseason for the Eagles that 22 was in the final score. You think people would catch on. Rigged games, same numbers over and over, suspicious deaths, always in close proximity of the games. And, we just talked about this with what they did with the Ohio State. Ohio State champions synced up with Johnny Gaudreau's death, and then on the 43rd day of the year, when football and champion equal 43, they announced the death of 2 former players for Ohio State. So again, RIP, and until next time, True Seeker.